rather surprising news for Miami Dolphins fans and the organization. And this is surprising because we talked about this in the Tua video, but we didn't really expect it. So, Dolphins offensive coordinator Chan Gailey has resigned after 1 year with the team. Gailey was asked numerous times throughout the season if he'd come back during the season, but he was uncommittal, which means he really didn't say yes or no. The only thing he really said was it was a very unusual season. This will be the third different offensive coordinator under Brian Flores in 3 seasons, and this was written by Cam Wolf, ESPN staff writer. Let me start this off first, Nate, because I'm gonna tell people why this is so surprising. So less than 24 hours before this news came out, Brian Flores was talking about how he expects the whole team to stay. He expects like the whole staff to kind of stay and nobody will really leave. Here's my problem. Okay, this is my problem specifically on Brian Flores. He shouldn't have said he expected anything because according to this, Chan Gailey was uncommitted, which means it wasn't a yes or no. I can understand if Chan Gailey said, I want to stay with this team for another year or two. He didn't say that. He never gave any yes or no. He just said it was an unusual situation. So for him to say he expects the whole staff to be there, I think that's jumping the boat a little bit. And it proved that he jumped the boat because less than 24 hours after he said that, Chan Gailey decided to resign. So, I mean, that's why it's so surprising because I expected Tua had the same offensive coordinator and I expected him to have the same staff around in the building, but clearly that's offensive coordinator is already gone. But here's why I don't think it'll affect Tua. Here's why I think Tua was in a win-win situation anyway. Let's suppose Chan Gailey stayed, okay? Then you're working with the same guy for like a decent amount of time, right? The best thing about Tua's situation is he's only entering his second year, which means you really didn't. Which means besides that 1 year, I don't know how strong his connection was with Chan Gailey, but I want to assume that it couldn't have been too strong. You get what I'm saying? Because usually when you hear about connections in sports, they've been with the guy more than 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at Michael Jordan and Doug Collins and Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, how he had to switch to that transition. And then he later on said, I don't want to play for any other coach besides Phil Jackson. Then you look at Brady and Belichick. But this has only been 1 year. Okay?
Right.
But the reason why I don't think this is going to affect Tua as much is because he has a whole career to go. So let's suppose they get an offensive coordinator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that offensive coordinator stays with Tua for probably 5 or 6 years. That will definitely benefit Tua because he has the same offensive coordinator for 5 or 6 years. They have a connection, and they're willing to build on it. I don't think the connection was that strong between Chan Gailey and Tua if Chan Gailey was hesitant about rejoining the team. If his connection was that strong with Tua, I don't think he resigns. I'm not saying they were like bitter enemies or they didn't like each other or they had differences. I ain't saying that because I don't know. What I will say is I do not think the connection was that strong between those two. So I really don't think it's going to affect Tua that negatively. But I do want to definitely say this was definitely a surprise because we expected Chan Gailey and most of that staff to come back for next season. Now, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's weird to see that we're talking about this less than 24 hours after we said that the team staff members are expected to stay. Did it ever say why he resigned or?
It did not. He just said he was there was no committal throughout the whole season. He never gave he never said he will come back or he won't. He just said it was an unusual season. And the guy is 69 years old, so maybe age had a factor, but I can't really tell you.
Yeah, I can't really tell you either. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. We're not going to speculate though, because there could be so many reasons, and only one of them is right. But yeah, it's just a really big surprise because we were just talking about it earlier. That this dude's going to come back and he's going to help Tua develop. And I agree. I don't think it's going to affect Tua that much. But they do need to get on. The Dolphins do need to get on the ball with finding an offensive coordinator, which I'm pretty sure they're doing right now, given that he just resigned, and so now the position is vacant. So they gotta look for someone. They can't start the season without an offensive coordinator.
Right.
Well, you can, but it just wouldn't be a mess. But I wouldn't do
it. I think that what the Dolphins really need to focus on right now is getting that offensive coordinator for a long term offensive coordinator. Because this is one time. But if you're going to continue doing this throughout to his career, he's never really going to build as a quarterback. Only very few quarterbacks can do that, Nate. Only very few. Like Drew Brees went through a lot of offensive coordinators through his life,
Right.
but he always had that one head coach. You know what I'm saying? Who had that one specific. Sean Payton was always an offensive minded coach,
Right.
always. So he had that. So we knew the offense always ran through Sean Payton. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Tom Brady was reluctant enough to have Josh McDaniels for so long. And I mean, obviously, earlier in his career, there were different offensive coordinators, everything like that. And he had Bill O'Brien for a little bit as an offensive coordinator. But then Josh McDaniels obviously was there for a decent amount of time, and then he left. But if you remember the last phase of his Patriots career, it was Josh McDaniels.
Right.
So that's why I believe that the Dolphins need to work on getting a long-term offensive coordinator. But they can't. This is one instance, which is why I'll say Tua will be all right. But if you're gonna do this throughout his whole career, Tua will never ever find what the foundation of his football is in the NFL. He'll never find it because you got many different offensive coordinators who have many different ideas on how to run the offense. You're never gonna get. You're just never ever gonna get a foundation of Tua in the NFL, which is why I think that getting one offensive coordinator, teaching Tua one certain type of offensive play will definitely help Tua in his career.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, with that said, I think the Dolphins, like you said, well, like I said, the Dolphins need to get on the ball of finding an offensive coordinator. And like you said, they need to lock him down for a long term, at least 3, 4 years, and then think about extending him after that if he does a good job. Um, but yeah, with that said, good luck to Chan Gailey in the future. Hopefully his endeavors bring him the best of luck, and good luck to the Dolphins, and we'll see where this goes from here.